Sure. All right, everybody. Welcome to the debut edition of Titans Table for Two. That's Andrew.
And that's Christian.
And we're here today. We're going to go through some of the offseason for the Titans and give you some picks for Sunday and go through everything that's been exciting us this last few months and hopefully go on a ride with y'all this season. We're going to do some things in the future like recap each game, preview each game, and go from there. And we hope you all join us. First thing I think that we need to talk about starts with the coach, right?
Yeah,
Starts at the top. Brand new, not only a brand new head coach, but that comes with a brand new staff. So I'll let you go first and kind of talk about how you feel about not only the addition of Bill Callahan, but the departure of Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the hire of Brian Callahan, sad to see Vrabel go, but I do think it was time. With Brian coming in, I think we're just excited to finally see a new age offense, see a team that's not,
Coming to
built
the
in
20th century a little bit, 21st century.
1995.
Yeah.
Bill Callahan, that's been talked about plenty. Our offensive line was in more in need of as much help as they could get. But man, I'm excited about Denard Wilson. That's a guy that I had my eye on whenever we were looking for a D coordinator. I saw the secondaries he had been a part of, and with all the additions and stuff, and the way I think he disguises coverages and blitzes and stuff. I think he's going to make it really hard on opposing teams. So Denard
Absolutely.
Wilson's my favorite hire. Outside of obviously Brian and Bill, the Callahans.
Sure. And that's where I was going to go, having big coach as they call him here in Tennessee and stuff. Big coach Bill Callahan. That's going to help us a lot with a team that had maybe the worst offensive line in the league last year. It was abysmal.
We could have put 5 trash cans out there, and it might have stopped the team a little bit.
We could have, and heck, that last game of the season. We were just throwing out there what we had, shoot. And it's going to be great to have, playing against Denard Wilson defenses. It's kind of exciting to have that on your squad, But, I appreciate everything Vrabel did here. And I like him, and I think he'll land on his feet next year somewhere, rightfully so. It just, I think it was the right move, especially, retroactively seeing everything that's been done since the coaching hire. I think we made the right move. So, I'm excited. I got to ask you, though, so I saw a video of Coach Callahan making phone calls to ticket holders. You didn't get a lucky call, did you?
Not me, Us sitting up in the top. Don't
Yeah.
I think those might be some suite holders or something. I don't know. It's not me up in the 314 or whatever it is.
Hey, you're there though. Hey, it doesn't matter where you're sitting.
As long as I'm there. Just to go back to the Vrabel thing for a second, I do want to state that I don't think John Robinson did him any favors.
No, absolutely.
He completely tore this team apart. And I will be the first to admit that I had, the glasses for John Robinson. I thought he was doing great things, and then it just I dragged the draft and trading AJ Brown away, which I'm over. Okay.
Yeah, I think Titans fans really were just disgusted after that whole ordeal. It's hard to feel good about your organization after that maneuver. That was disheartening, man. To me as a Titans fan, we've been here since the Yancey Thigpen and Kevin Dyson days and Derek Mason, Chris Brown, not Chris Brown, excuse me, Chris Sanders, sorry. Chris Sanders was one of the first wide receivers I remember catching at a live game before we even had a stadium, man. That's how long we go back, guys.
Mine was Isaac Bird.
Isaac Bird, I forgot about Isaac Bird. Yes,
Whitecheck through the pass.
That's right. Okay. See, that's how far we go back, guys. Isaac Bird, Frank Whitecheck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quickly, before we move on to free agency, I got to ask you, did you see that Kansas City-Baltimore game? How was it to see Derrick Henry in a Ravens uniform?
Different. you know, hurts my soul to say the
Yeah,
least.
sickening
But
is what I would
once
say.
again, like same as Vrabel, it's the right move for this team.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, I think Pollard and Tajay are the backs for this offense that Brian Callahan
Absolutely.
wants to run. I was actually in the back when they first went there. I was like, oh man, that's going to be a hard backfield with Lamar and Derek there.
Mm.
I know this isn't a Baltimore Ravens podcast, but like Derek Henry, of course.
Well, yeah,
They don't feel like they mesh as well as we think because as much as it puts Lamar under center now, and he has to run. And I don't think they were using Derek correctly. They kept trying to run him up the middle, and I know he's a big guy, but he likes to get to the edge.
right.
So
Yeah.
I think, but that's a
Well,
Baltimore
you
problem.
said it
That's the
best
same
at
problem.
first. I think they the running backs we have match our system. It was the right move
Yeah.
for us. I know it's the first game of the season, but that offense the other night with Derrick Henry in particular, was looking a lot like that offense that we had a couple years ago. Where we were kind of trying to figure out where we're going to fit this guy, how are we getting this guy the ball.
Yeah,
There's large portions of the game where Derrick Henry's not in the game.
he's
Especially
a
at the end
guy
of
where
that
you
first
gotta
half.
feed him 25 carries a game to get him. Like
Yeah, he's not that
I
guy
don't know what he had.
anymore.
I think it was like 15 carries around there, 13 to 15. I think is what he got. And when you have Derek, you have to run the offense through Derek, and it doesn't work
Absolutely.
when you have Lamar Jackson on your team, because
Yeah.
you're running the offense through him. I mean, he had over 100 yards rushing. I think Derek had 48.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's tough to
But
see
they'll
him in
figure
that
it out.
purple and
I
black,
love our
though.
head coach. Yeah. Aesthetically, I like purple,
I'm
and I
not going
think
to
he
say
looks
that. You
good
can
in
say
purple. He
that.
looks better than his own blue.
That's why
But
there's
I
two
know
of us on this
aesthetically,
podcast, guys. All right. Good cop,
I
bad
hate the
cop.
Ravens, and I'm glad they lost. I hope Derek runs for 1,500 yards. And they lose every game. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
No hard feelings to Derek.
Well, they don't. That didn't make me feel too good about my Super Bowl pick because I had Lions Ravens for the Super Bowl. And man, Lamar Jackson looked a
I mean, he had a good
struggle
game.
a little
Let's
bit
talk
that
about Isaiah
night.
Likely. Isaiah Likely had a good game.
Yeah.
As
He
somebody
man.
who drafted Mark Andrews on their fantasy team, I wasn't happy about it. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that.
Well, let's move on to free agency and some of the moves, particularly there. What would be? Give me one or two on each side of the ball. What would?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot's been made about Calvin Ridley, which is amazing to look at. I saw a stat on Twitter. We have the most accomplished wide receiver group in the league now when it comes to catches and touchdowns and yards with D Hop, Ridley, and Boyd.
Career
Uh,
wise, accumulated
but
careers together.
yeah, if you add like the top, all the wide receiver rooms of everybody in the league, we have the most accomplished, which is crazy to say as a Titans
It's
fan. But
crazy, man. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I didn't know that till you shared it with me.
my favorite signing of the offense was Lloyd Cushenberry. When it goes back to how
Okay.
bad the offensive line was, because I mean we still had some pass catchers. No, obviously not the wide receiver room we have right now, but we had D Hop last year. But we just Aaron Brewer wasn't it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and someone in the center to anchor that line for the next 5 years
Bring back some
is
of those old glory days with Ben Jones, right? We miss Ben Jones, but I think Lloyd Cushenberry is maybe top three centers in the league. Potential. I mean, he's good, and I think he's underrated. He's one of the more underrated linemen in the league. And hey, you call me Homer. I try to call it for what it is, though. He's one of the better. I mean, I saw centers that pull like that and stuff. Like I saw him
athletic.
doing the other day. He's athletic. Yeah, I like him. So
Defense, I mean, it's a trade, but I mean, and it just happened. Ernest Jones, I
okay,
think. I mean, I like Jack Gibbons for what he is, and what I think. When we drafted Cedric Gray, we all thought, "Hey, this guy might be a plug and play starter."
yeah,
He's a fourth round pick, and unfortunately, he had the nerve injury going, and he's gonna have to work back from that. But you get a guy, and it might only be a 1 year rental, or we might get a long term deal, but somebody's going to help this defense immediately.
yeah,
And that's I mean, obviously, like you said, Snead, all the changes to the secondary has been amazing. Um, we're going to talk about the draft. We'll get there in a minute, but out of like a trades and free agents, yeah, Ernest Jones. I think him and
Yeah.
Kenneth Murray pair very well together.
Yeah, and I think the one that I'm going to go with on defense is going to be L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah,
I think it's
can't
hard to
beat
beat
getting
a
top five
L'Jarius
corner.
Sneed. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, Kansas City, they were deep in their defensive backs and stuff, so it's easier to let them go. But and people talk about injury concerns and things like that. That's just the NFL, man. That's the NFL, and it's
absolutely.
these guys aren't missing crazy time. I'll get into it later when we get to them, but the same applies to a couple of these guys here. I'll wait till we get to it, but and Awuzie, obviously just shoring up those DBs, and some of the safeties as well that we got. But and my offensive pick is going to be Tyler Boyd.
Yeah,
We know the
absolutely.
obvious one in Calvin Ridley, but I think Tyler Boyd, man, he's gonna get a lot. He's gonna be that security blanket we talk about. That Will Levis can look to. We saw a little snippet of it the other night. But yeah, Tyler Boyd, I thought was great. I thought we were kind of done with the wide receiver position there after Calvin Ridley, and then that just shored it up even more. And I just thought that was excellent. I love that.
For
And I love
sure.
the
And
Ernest Jones trade as well.
yeah, I
Can't
know
can't
Tyler Boyd's
overstate that.
awesome. I think one of the best, if not the best, slot receivers in the league is just getting open, finding that hole in the defense. He did it for years in Cincinnati, and he's comfortable with Brian Callahan, so he knows the offense. He came in, fit right in, and then that was the talk coming out of camp is that him and Levis were connecting almost immediately. You heard the
Yeah,
reports that Levis and really need a little more work, a little more timing, especially on the deep balls and
yeah,
stuff like that. But no, I mean Tyler Boyd, that's a great pick.
yeah, absolutely. I think
Underrated.
Tyler Boyd and Awuzie coming over here, I think, are just two of my favorites.
And you
And I
talk
get,
about L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto,
yeah, yeah,
and we're gonna get to the draft in a minute, but Jarvis is in there too. There's a guy that Denard Wilson's looking for, and it's
sure.
these dogs that are in your face, man to man. You're not gonna beat me corners,
A little bit
disciplined,
of
but
that Legion of Boom kind of feel to it, man.
yeah, a little more disciplined than that. But you
Yeah,
for sure. Uh, but yeah, saying like I mean, we all seen the video of L'Jarius Sneed just absolutely putting Tyreek Hill in the dirt off the
yeah.
line.
I
It's
mean,
like that kind of guy though.
and there's just we're not used to this as Titans fans to have this many moves to
No,
talk about. Yeah, it's funny to have to
no.
actually pick one out of a list, So I mean, we're not used
Gordon
to this kind
Ramsay,
of
let Rams cook.
aggressiveness. So I guess we'll move on then to the draft.
Yeah.
We know obviously some of the couple of the first two picks in the draft that we had. But what's your favorite things from the draft?
If I had to pick one from the draft, it'd be Jarvis Brownlee. It is. I
Okay.
think one of the things we've been missing for, I mean, obviously an offensive line, so you can't go wrong with Latham because I think he's been an amazing addition. But Brownlee because we had so much lack of depth in the corner room.
Yeah.
If one of those top guys go down, and then you're trotting out a Trey Avery immediately.
Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
there,
Trey
there
Avery.
can be a few more picks down that pecking order before we get there. No, I know Cheeto's been dealing with some injuries and stuff, so I feel a lot better with McCreary and Brownlee backing up. And I mean McCreary's basically a starter in the nickel, but you know Jarvis Brownlee, and I think in the fifth round to get a guy just like I said, he's in that mold that Denard Wilson's looking for.
Sure.
So
Well, I'm gonna go. I was really excited for Cedric Gray.
yeah,
Now
same.
him having the nerve issues and stuff, he's kind of taking a back seat and having to fall behind a little bit. Unfortunately, I mean, I think he'll be fine. You never like to miss time and reps. It's so important, especially coming into the league as a rookie. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I'm going to cheat here a little bit. I'm going to go with Tavondre Sweat, and I'm going to go ahead and
Can't
eat a
go
couple
wrong with
bites
that.
of crow here because I wasn't excited about it at first, and that's just because I never like taking guys that you hear about the character issues. That stuff just we've had those issues in the past. I think Titans have a little PTSD from Pac-Man Jones days and
Isaiah Wilson, even a few years
Isaiah
ago.
Wilson. Yeah, more recent name. Yeah, I just, it's I just those things bother me, but I have to admit, looking retrospectively, he's done a phenomenal job so far. And if he works out and works hard and applies himself, that could be maybe the best pick out of this year for us. We can look back and say that was a great pick. So
it seems like the staff did a lot of research on him before they decided to pick. They're
sure.
hearing that they flew down there and met with his family, talked to him, and figured out as much as they could about him before they made that pick. And I mean, I don't think we all knew that at the time, so I think a lot of people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, was it the right pick?" But I trust the staff. I mean, Rand, he's been doing everything. That
Yeah.
like I said, we're not used to getting all these signings and stuff like that. It's used to be like, yeah, let him cook, Gordon Ramsay. Um, but it's like we used to be like, oh man, it would be really cool if we signed Calvin Ridley, but we're the Titans, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it'd be really cool if we traded for Ernest Jones. I heard he's available, but we're the Titans. We're not going to make that
Yeah.
move. And I give props to Miss Amy too because I think she wants to win just as much as anybody.
Sure. And you touched on something there. I'm going to trust the staff. It's a new staff. It's kind of a weird position as a Titans fan. I'm going to trust the new staff to know they know more about football than I do. So
Right, yeah.
I'm going to trust, this, and that goes for J.C. Latham as well. A lot of people are critical of him moving to that left side, but it's looked like it's worked out thus far. So I think him and
Absolutely.
Skoronski, are going to be a bad duo over there on that left side, man.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to trust the staff to know what they're doing, so, and it looks like it's worked out for both of those guys. And hopefully Cedric Gray gets back to work soon because I was really excited about that pick,
I think the best thing for him now, I mean, now that you have, Ernest Jones and Kenneth Murray, now he can just be a rookie and just be a sponge and
Sure.
soak up all the knowledge he can learn from them and like do his get healthy. He has no reason to rush back now. We have two starting linebackers and just soak up and ask questions and
Yeah.
I mean, Ernest Jones isn't that old. He's only been in the league for a few years, but I mean, how much can you? I'm almost like a veteran now, pretty much. Ask
Absolutely.
questions. I'm sure he had struggles when he came in, just like anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us to what I'd like to call the elephant in the room here, and that's Will Levis.
Okay.
Uh, a lot of people calling this his legacy year. I don't know if I like that terminology. I guess a lot of pressure on him, to say the least. A lot of pressure on Will Levis. They've put the guys around him to succeed, which is the best you can ask for from any organization with a young quarterback. So ball's in his hands, quite literally, pun intended. So what do you think about Will Levis and the pressure he's kind of facing this year?
I think that was the intention to put as many weapons and things around him that you can. And like, hey, you're going to show us if you're the guy or not this year. And we're going a different direction next year. Me personally, I think Will Levis is a dog, and I think he's going to succeed. I think he has the right mindset. Everybody you've heard talk about, like, oh man, this guy works. He works. He went to vacation in Italy, and the first thing he did was find a football field or like a field he could go throw on.
Yeah.
Apparently the cops had to come, and he didn't speak Italian, so he had some trouble there. But like, guy who just he wants to be the best.
Yeah.
So I'm all about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Will Levis here in Tennessee. But I'd say there's not a lot of pressure on the Titans as a whole. So that may work in his favor a little bit. Nobody's really expecting Levis outside of Tennessee to be much of anything. So that could take a little bit of the pressure off of him a little bit. But you said it. We think he's a dog here, man. I love his attitude. I love his character. I love his play style. Now I don't want him hopping over the goal line in preseason anymore.
Yeah.
You know, if it's to win the AFC Championship on the last drive of the game, sure, I understand. I ain't gonna have to quit hopping and trying to run people over, man. As we want you to be around here for a while. But I mean, really, I think he's improved vastly from what I mean. He's not afraid to check down. I've noticed, and that's great, man. He checks down quick when he needs to. He doesn't waste time, and he hits the check. He's been excellent with that this preseason. And he said, I know he had some struggles in some practice games and things like that, but you know, I've liked what I've seen live so far. He had an excellent couple of drives in the Saints game there.
If that Saints game doesn't get you excited for this offense, I don't know what will.
That's what I'm saying. We got a little taste of some Calvin Ridley, some Tyler Boyd, and then let's not forget Tony Pollard, man. You know, he had a couple of moments this year as well. But I'm glad he's embracing the mayonnaise thing and everything and making some money for it. I love mayonnaise too, man. It's a bit tiresome. I guess that's all anyone knows about him. But I'm happy for him to feed into it and make a little money, you know. So I believe Hellman's has endorsed him, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's where that clone came from, and
so happy for Will Levis, man. Happy to see him and Brian Callahan see what they can do together. So
absolutely.
All right, if you want, we can kind of go into some of the depth chart here, man. And we can just go position by position, I guess, if you want. There's a couple of key positions I think all Titans fans know that we're a little bit concerned about. But I guess I'll let you go ahead and start with the offense if you want to there, man. And I'll take the defense.
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously we know our 3 starting receivers with Calvin, D-Hop, which news just came out before we started recording that he will play Sunday.
He will play. Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about. I think it's all going to be about pain management for him. I mean,
it'd be great to see it all together too. We have yet to see it all together. Game one.
Yeah, for me, it's I trust D-Hop to trust his body and know what he can and can do. He's been in the league long enough, but
he was some of the brief moments of delight that the Titans had last year. So those 6 wins that we have are like a big part of DeAndre Hopkins. So
for sure. Levis, obviously, is the quarterback. Now, from left to right on the offensive line, rookie J.C. Latham, 2nd year Peter Skoronski, which I'm expecting a big year from him. Cushenberry, who we touched on earlier, and then this is where the question comes in with Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit-Ferrer.
I think that right side is what all Titans fans are kind of a little bit concerned about. Skoronski was there last year as well, but I think Jeffrey Simmons has had a lot of great things to say about Skoronski.
He went through right before the season started. He had an appendectomy. Like, that can't be great,
Well, Jeffrey Simmons says he's one of the strongest dudes that he's gone up against. And I know that's his teammate, but he's not going to say he sucks or anything. But
Jeff doesn't give out compliments a lot. So
Jeff's had a lot of good stuff to say about Peter this year. So
I think a big plus for Radins is he finally seems like he's settled into a position. With Vrabel, it seemed like he was left tackle, left guard, right tackle, right guard. And I feel like having an offseason with Bill Callahan just to concentrate on one position.
Hard to get any rhythm without any consistency,
Yeah.
Especially at this level, I'd imagine.
MPF, I mean, this is a job he's won before, and then he had the suspension. And then he was hurt this offseason, but he came in and pretty much won that job immediately when he came in. Being injured. So they looked good in the preseason game. I know there's not a lot of game planning and stuff going on there. But that's the biggest question on the line. And then there's 2 positions on the offense that had listed with 2 starters. And
quickly before you move on from the line, we had to deal with that surprise retirement as well this year. That kind of came out of nowhere. Still no explanation.
As far as I know,
so that kind of, that could have been a little different, if that had kind of. I think he was kind of. We had him kind of locked in as a starter. I remember at one point he was doing work with the starters. And I wanted to touch on real quick. I think Brunskill's a quality backup. I thought it was possible you might see him starting somewhere on this line as well. Uh,
I think Andrew Rupchich had a great camp and great showing in the preseason games, and maybe he doesn't make this team if Sadiq Charles stays, but
yeah,
I think quality
yeah,
right there. And then Shaquan Jackson, Traylon Burks, and Nick Westbrook-Ikini. I'm not sure you have a better 3 through 6. I mean, 4 through 6 in the league. You know,
yeah,
so I
absolutely.
mean,
We love
depth
Nick
chart. I mean,
Westbrook here in Nashville, man.
and then Mason. I think Mason Rudolph's a great backup quarterback. You know, got to be a top 5 backup in the league.
Got to be a top
Somebody
five
who's been
backup
out there.
situation in the league. Absolutely. I mean, look what he did with the Steelers.
It was good to see Chestnut, make it.
Yeah, that surprised me
Um,
a little bit, just because I guess I'm so used to seeing Hassan Haskins, but I know Julius Chestnut had been putting in work and was kind of, but I thought maybe
I
because of
mean,
the special teams and stuff, Hassan Haskins might have the edge there, but you know,
I mean, Brian Callahan said it just as bluntly as I've ever heard. Julius Chestnut ran the ball better than Hassan Haskins did.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Well,
and
and we
it's
kind
nice
of
to
found a
actually hear
couple of
that.
those. We'll get to it, but we kind of found some stuff this draft with special teams and stuff as well. So
Yeah. Um, but so for the Chestnut, the double starter there is Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. I think they're just two guys that are so much alike and so talented. They're really just going to be swapping in and out. Two guys that are going to contribute heavily to this offense. But the tight end, this is where it gets interesting on offense. 5 tight ends kept on this roster, which is not something that you see at all in the NFL.
I
But
thought we might see some more moves. I thought Chef Rand might have been cooking. When I saw that first, what was it? I think it was 4 cornerbacks and 5 tight ends. That was initially. I was like, man,
crazy
he's
like
cooking
that.
something up, man.
You never know what he's cooking. I mean, we just last week, this week, we released Luke Gifford and put him on the practice squad to open a roster spot that we still haven't filled. And I'm sitting here like, what is Rand doing? What is Rand doing?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's unreal to feel that way as a Titans fan, have that unpredictability for once, man. It's just.
yeah.
I'm going to make a bold prediction real quick since we touched on the running backs there.
Okay.
I've been making this with friends, and I'm going to say it. Um, I think the Tennessee Titans running backs will have a better season than the Baltimore Ravens.
Oof.
I think.
I mean, I mean that's fair because honestly, the Justice Hill, is that who it was? Justice Hill and Derrick Henry split those snaps pretty evenly over there. So,
Yeah, I just
but this,
I just see as Pollard. I feel like is going to be what people thought he was a couple years ago. He's looked
yeah,
good. And Tajay
yeah,
Spears, man. Tajay Spears, his name's not known yet, but it will be, I think, this year. I certainly think this year people are going to know the name Tajay Spears.
I
And
agree.
but yeah, that's my bold prediction for running backs. I was waiting to get to that, but I think the Tennessee Titans running backs will have a better season than the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to miss Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is top 5 Titans all time for me. I love
Yeah,
running backs too. Eddie George is my favorite Titan all time. Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson. I mean, I love my running backs.
yeah, absolutely.
The running backs we have now, they can do some things that Derrick Henry can't do.
Yeah,
Not known to do.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I think. I mean,
a little
Brian
more
said that we're like,
versatility back there.
yeah. I mean, these guys they do everything well. They're 3-headed monsters
Yeah.
with their talents. They can run the ball, they can protect, and they can catch.
Mm-hmm.
They do it
Absolutely.
all at a high level. So yeah, it's the difference in Derek. You're kind of they're probably gonna give Derek the ball. He's probably running it. Obviously, we used to play action off of it, but I think you're gonna see some sets with both of them in there.
Yeah. What do you think
So
about Thomas Odukoya quickly? Because that's the tight end out of the 5 that I was
yeah,
surprised. And
Chig
all due
and
respect to all
Wale
players
Carter,
involved, I just
Nick Manette, David Martin Robinson, who was an undrafted free agent, just came in and earned that spot.
yeah, he came in and just shocked everybody, didn't he? He came out of nowhere.
And then Thomas Odukoya, which I mean, obviously he had to play against the Saints where he ran down the missed field goal guy and tackled him just
Mm-hmm.
short of the goal line. I mean, that's effort.
And that was a nice hustle play.
And everything I said, everybody was surprised that we kept 5 tight ends, but I mean, Brian and Rand said, "Hey, we're not going to keep a certain number at each position. We're going to keep the best 53 players on this roster."
Absolutely.
And That's what they did. I think that they felt like Odakoya and David Martin Robinson deserved to be on this roster, and they said, "Hey, we can't get these guys on a practice squad. We release these guys, they're not making it back."
Right.
So
Absolutely. And I
yeah,
think
that was
we need to. I think this is not a make or break year. I don't like that term, but this is a year where I'm looking for Chigakonkwo to pick it up a little bit. Hopefully, he turns
here's
into
my
that.
bold prediction for the tight end, since you had one for the running backs.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a Chick fan, but I think Josh Wiley has more receptions than Chigakonkwo this year.
Okay. Touchdowns too. Or?
Yeah, man, because I mean that height that he has, he's going to be a big red zone target. You
Okay.
know,
And Will
uh,
Levis has been good in the red zone.
yeah, absolutely. So I think Wiley pulls away and shows himself as a starting tight end by the end of the. It won't be a 1A 1B anymore.
It'll be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
All right. I think we pretty much rounded out the offense. There's a guy here I'm looking at, but we'll get to him in a second. Coming up in special teams, and on the defense, we're a little thin on edge rush. I think that's the position that every Titans fan kind of is looking at when it comes to the defense. But we've got Sebastian Joseph Day over there on the end. And Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons kind of filling out that line. We also have Coburn there behind Joseph Day on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And then Harold Landry and Arden Key on edge, backed up by Murphy and Jalen Harrell and recent pickup, Ollie Gay.
Yep.
And then that's kind of our line there. So what are you kind of thinking about some of those guys? I think I'm looking for Arden Key's kind of one of the guys I'm looking to step up, and Jalen Harrell.
Yeah.
Other than obvious names.
Arden Key, yeah. He's got talent as a pass rusher. I think his problem is being a 3-down player, getting there on the run plays, and not always just getting it up the field and then not being able to get to the run. But I mean, that's definitely a position where I think we could add somebody. And then obviously carrying 4 defensive linemen is one of those guys go down. You have 3 guys playing the whole game. But I do expect we have a couple D linemen on our practice squad, and I'm sure we'll have a game day elevation for tomorrow out there. You can't just go in there with 4. So yeah, I think
and a veteran like Joseph Day as well. That could be invaluable.
It seemed like he really came on towards the end of the training camp and preseason where he was like kind of flashing. But I mean, you're looking at a 7th-round pick and an undrafted free agent from last year in Caleb Murphy.
Yeah.
That's going to be your backup second edge. But
Murphy or Jalen Harrell's got to step it up, I think, this year. If we're not planning on kind of addressing anybody else at that position or making any more moves, if they're done, then one of those 2 guys is going to be crucial this year. And Jalen Harrell's shown flashes.
He has. I mean, they say he's a little undersized, which
They said the same thing about Jarrell Casey, though. We know.
They said the same thing about Aaron Donald.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah.
Position, but hey, not the size of the dog in the fight. The fighting the dog, though.
That's right. And then backing those guys up, we have Kenneth Murray and Gibbons, and then the late addition of Ernest Jones,
which we gotta imagine takes over for Gibby in that second spot.
And also we have Williams and Reese.
But yeah, Chance Campbell, he was having a great preseason, wasn't he?
Yeah, Chance Campbell. I think when Chance Campbell got hurt, it kind of sprung on some of that Ernest Jones talk as well that kind of brought him here. I don't think that was I don't think that was something that was talked about until some of that stuff happened. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that'll bring us to the much improved defensive backs of the Tennessee Titans. And we've kind of talked about some of our favorite additions, but I'm going to bring up a guy like Roger McCreary.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the big names we've had come here. He's one of the more underrated DBs, I think, in the league. The touchdowns he allowed was astronomically low. It was It was something like 1 or 2 or something. He was right behind some of the best corners in the league for touchdowns allowed. He's right there with them. So Roger McCreary, man, I'm excited to continue to see him to grow.
Yeah, for sure. Roger and Cheeto and Sneed. And I think I think you're going to see a lot of Jarvis out there too. Honestly.
And then also the late additions of Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams. Now Jamal Adams, we haven't really seen much of him
Yeah, he's
at
out this
practice and
week.
stuff, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on with him. I have not heard too much.
He says, well, at first they were saying soreness, and I was like, this can't be just soreness. He's been out for 2 weeks now,
Yeah,
It finally says hip on
yeah,
the injury report.
he's
So,
been noticeably absent from
yeah, he's
practice.
officially out this week. I think that honestly just means you might see some more Brownlee. I think that also might open up a little bit for James Williams too. Honestly,
Yeah,
who's somebody who played safety, transferring to linebacker, and might have that thing because Jamal Adams is somebody you're going to put down in the box and stuff anyway.
absolutely.
He's
Yeah,
kind of a
DB
hybrid
linebacker
safety.
hybrid kind of.
You're not putting him out down there deep in coverage. He's not that guy
Yeah,
anymore.
he's a guy I was actually really, that's one of those guys I wanted the Titans to kind of pick that year. I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember what year. Was that the Corey Davis year?
it
Maybe.
might be right around the. I think it might be the Corey. We got Corey and Adoree Jackson.
Yeah,
The
I
same.
remember being excited that Jamal Adams was kind of going to be.
I think you're right on that. Good callback.
Yeah, I was excited about Jamal Adams as one of the potential picks.
That's
Oh,
right.
people always get the pick that I want. I wanted Von Miller. I mean, he was projected much lower at the beginning of everything, and then he just shot up to the #1 overall pick. But yeah, I could go on forever about people who get picked right before.
2017 draft. Corey, dude, good
Did I
callback. He
call
got
that?
picked right after Corey Davis. What a callback.
Uh, I'm a true two-tone Blue Titans fan, man.
I remember I was at the stadium at that draft party
Yeah,
that they had. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So, heck yeah.
Hey, man, shout out to Corey Davis, man. Hey,
Yeah,
I
I hope he's
enjoyed
doing well, man. I know he's trying to make a comeback. I hope he
I
finds
enjoyed your
somewhere.
time here, man. I appreciated you.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think that kind of rounds out the defense. I think we're all excited about some of those improvements that we're going to see on
Absolutely.
in the defensive back, and that'll bring us quickly, I guess, to special teams. Love our punter, of course,
Yeah.
Stonehouse. We love Stonehouse here.
Does any franchise love punters as much as the Titans?
I'm
Whether
telling
it's
you, man.
very good,
We get
very
some good ones,
good.
boy. No, he's good though. He's a good quality
Brett
guy to
Kern.
have. He can get it down pinched in there inside the
Oh, I mean, he
15.
broke the record for average yards on a punt in his rookie
Yeah,
year. So,
and
yeah,
we know we had some flashes, from a guy in preseason. I think we were talking about there at kicker, but I think we kind of knew Nick Folk was.
Braden Arvison actually kicked for the Packers last night.
Yeah. I
It
was,
went 3 for 4. I think was what he
yeah.
went.
He
Doinked
kicked
one, but
that
hey,
bomb there, and everybody
yeah.
was excited, wasn't it?
You see a 59, 60-yard field goal, you get
Yeah.
excited.
And that'll bring me to another guy. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said, but you can't go wrong with Nick Folk. I mean, just reliable.
No, veteran man. That'll bring me to a guy I've kind of been waiting to talk about is Jaquan Jackson.
Yeah.
He's going to be our special teams guy, backed up by Boyd on punts and Tajay Spears, which surprised me a little bit. But I guess with the new kickoff format, it kind of makes sense maybe to have a running back there. Like
Like an
Spears.
all-purpose play. I mean, I thought we would see some more
Yeah,
returns. Now, watching these first 2 games, you see a lot of touchbacks anyway. They're like, we'll just give up the extra 5 yards rather than chance somebody
yeah,
breaking one on them. But I mean, I hope they get some chances because the Tulane boys back there on kickoff return,
yeah.
I'm excited about that actually. 2 just explosive guys.
And I think the NFL maybe have finally found the format they're kind of looking for. Bring back some of the excitement into the play. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit dull the last couple of years. So I'm glad that I was skeptical of it, like any change, but I liked what I saw this preseason from it. So I welcome that change.
Jaquan, I think this is a guy that can. I mean, obviously, I don't think he's a starter or anybody who's in our top 3, but I think there's going to be plays for him. They're going to get him out there. Try to get the ball in his hands here or there. Let him use that explosive play ability to
Oh, you mean
do
on
something.
offense outside of special
Yeah,
teams?
outside
Yeah.
of the kickoff, I don't think he's not a starter on the offense. Obviously, he's got a lot of receivers with talent in front of him, uh, but none that have the explosive ability that he does. All right, I think we should get into some record predictions. Are you ready for that?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and start?
All right, man. Let's see. I'm gonna looking at our schedule. I've been back
Tough
and forth
schedule.
on it. It's tough. I mean, there's some games we might feel good about, whether it's the Vikings, you know, Patriots, obviously. Some games you're a little stressed about, whether it's the Lions or the Dolphins. Texans,
Tough
obviously,
start. Those
much
four
better.
games before the bye is tough.
Yeah, it's going to be telling coming out of those four. But there's some games that you're like, this is an either way game. You know, this is the one that's the difference in a record. Uh, I've been somewhere between 9-8 and 11-6. And I think those games, and I think this week is one of them, is games that you got to win to get to that 11-8. You know, so I'm right there. So call it 10-7 if you want, but yeah, I've been going back and
Yeah.
forth 9 and 11 and 6.
11-6 and 9-8.
Yeah, I've been
So
going back and forth.
so you're between there 10-7.
Yeah, yeah, right there.
So I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm trying to keep my home team fandom
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard
modest,
when you make all those moves. It gets hard.
but at the same time, I do believe in us.
Hmm.
I believe we're going to be a lot better than a lot of people are expecting us to be.
For sure.
Uh, so I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm going to go that 10-7
Yeah.
as a wild card seed as well. Um, I'm not 100% sold on the Texans, you know, but it just seems too good to be true in a way sometimes with these things.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think the Titans could potentially be a big surprise to a lot of people in the AFC South this year. But I'm going to keep it modest at 10-7. I'm like you. I kind of want to give them an extra win or two just as a surprise team this year. And, I'm going to allow myself to be a fan and believe in my team. But I'm going
Hey,
to
if
stick
no
with
one's
10 and
gonna believe
7.
in us, we're gonna believe in us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's
Let
part of the
everybody else
reason,
be
honestly,
pessimistic.
we'll get to this, but that's kind of why we're starting this channel. So,
They're our team for a reason, man.
and yeah, I think we're 10-7 with a wild card this year, man. I think we sneak in without a lot of people thinking, you know, there's a lot of teams that we've been used to being good that I think might take a step back this year. The Bills being one of them.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
man.
Bengals got to stay healthy. You know, the
Yeah,
Jags, I
they're
don't
gonna have
think.
Jamar Chase situation now too.
Yeah, and everybody loves to talk about the great start the Jags had, and yeah, a 7-3 start sounds cool, or 8-3 start sounds great, but you ended up winning one more game or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. I don't care if you started 8-2 or whatever.
Talking about somebody not sold on. I'm not sold on Trevor Lawrence at all.
So yeah, I think that the Titans have a good opportunity here with a lot of teams that I think are going to take maybe a step back this year.
Yeah, that's good. I think there's more opportunity than people want to believe, for sure.
Sure.
And like, we don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to be at
Yeah,
40
yeah.
years
Aaron
old
Rodgers
after
is
Achilles injury.
one of the
No,
greatest to ever do it, but
absolutely.
he is 40, so
Yeah, and just tore his Achilles.
and just tore his Achilles. So let's go with just Sunday. Let's see what's your score and your pick for Sunday. Titans Bears going to Chicago.
Titans Bears. I think it's a good thing that we're catching Caleb Williams earlier. So I do think he's going to be good. I mean,
It's a good
I'm
thing we're
not.
catching Chicago early as
Yeah,
well. I don't want to be in
yeah,
Chicago late in the year.
yeah. That's true. Weather permitting. Um, but I think Denard's going to throw some things at Caleb that he's not used to. Things he hasn't seen at the pro level,
Yeah.
and disguising coverages and blitzes and all that good jazz. I got Titans 30-24.
Okay.
I think we
30
dropped
24.
30 for the first time in a couple years. Um, yeah, 30-24.
Okay.
And then Chicago's got a good defense. They got a great secondary, two great linebackers, but I like the way this offense moves. So
Okay. So I think we're going to find out about this offensive line quick. We're going to
For
find
sure.
out this weekend because that Bears front is pretty good front.
Especially Montez Sweat.
So we're going to find out about these guys this weekend. It's not going to take long. We've got less than 48 hours, or well, excuse me, no, was it Saturday? No, excuse me. We've got less than 24 hours.
Yeah, we got about
Homeboy done lost
18,
track of time over here.
18
Forgot what
hours
day it
till
was.
kickoff, man. Oh,
So,
one more sleep till kickoff?
yeah, good grief. Yeah, that's right. How could I forget? I've got football on in front of me here, folks.
Yeah. Make
I'm going to go
sure
28-17 for the Titans, though.
28-17. Okay.
28-17. I'm expecting to see some defense in this game. Score to be somewhat low, maybe till the end. I think it's going to be a close game. I do think it's going to be a close game. I know Caleb Williams is not worried, but you better be worried because I got you 28-17 against my Titans.
There we go. Book it.
All right. So you want to get into the final bite
The
on this
final
table
bite.
for two? Do you have
Table for
yours ready?
two.
Who's your final bite for?
My final bite, I think it's gonna be a season prediction since we're starting this right now. Will Levis will throw for more yards than anybody ever has in a Titans uniform. Now,
Okay.
I'm not sure the franchise record because I know Warren Moon had some great seasons, but at a Titans uniform, he will throw for the most yards anybody ever has
In a
in a
season.
season.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's my final bite, and I'm full.
Okay. So my final bite's a little different. It's not a prediction, but it's a call out per se
All right.
to the media and the disrespect, the
Well,
blatant disrespect.
one thing that Titans fans always have the hardest getting used to is the disrespect.
Let me tell you something. I don't expect people to pick the Titans to win the Super Bowl. I don't even expect you to pick us to win the AFC South or even go to the playoffs. That doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's a difference of standard that is applied to certain teams than is to Tennessee. I'm just telling you guys that if the Cowboys, the Browns, the Colts, the Jaguars, you name almost any other team, had made the maneuvers, the trades, the draft picks, and everything that the Tennessee Titans did this year, the national media would fall all over them saying them Cowboys are going to Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
the Colts are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It applies still to this day. They will tell you that the Colts are going to be good this year as long as Anthony Richardson can be healthy. Based off of what? The 10 snaps he played last year?
I read a stat that said he's played 17 games since high school. Started 17 games since high school.
That's incredible.
That's one NFL season
That
since
is
high school.
incredible.
Yeah.
So I understand that you all have questions about Will Levis and he's unproven and we've got to see more and time will tell. And even some of you say you just flat out don't like him, that he's just not your guy. I'm fine with all of that.
Yeah.
But just apply the same standard. Because the same thing goes for Anthony Richardson that would for a Will Levis, and everybody's falling all over one, and we're just kind of decided that one's not. I look for Will Levis to surprise a lot of people this year. I hope that your last bite is correct, and that is my final bite for the media and their disrespect.
Just on that note of that, I saw a Twitter thing, and I'm not sure if it's correct. I didn't fact check it.
Sure.
But for like just disrespect from national outlets, and this is a Madden thing, that as soon as Ernest Jones got traded from the Rams to the Titans, his overall rating went down.
No way.
Now I don't know if it's true. I haven't gotten on Madden,
It wouldn't surprise
but
me.
it
would
wouldn't
not
surprise me.
surprise
But but
I mean, Calvin Ridley's definitely went down from last year.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing. They, in the media, this is just how dishonest they are. They'll tell you that the Jaguars let Calvin Ridley walk away. They let him go this year. That is false.
Yeah.
The Jaguars offered Calvin Ridley the same exact money that the Tennessee Titans did. He preferred to be here. He wanted to wear this right here. So let's be honest and quit being lazy journalists is all I'm asking. Let's do some homework and actually know what we're talking about, or just don't speak at all.
All right, well, let's go Titans. Kick
Let's
off
go
tomorrow.
Titans.
I'm gonna call for the check. Check, please.
Check, please.
It's on him this week. He's pulling the wallet out. We appreciate you guys for listening. Titans table for
Oh,
two.
and don't forget
Thanks,
to tickle us
Tristan.
with your thumbs down there at the bottom.
Yeah. Give us
If
some
you like
likes,
hanging out with
subscribe.
us, go ahead and
You
subscribe to
know,
it.
we're getting this all figured out, but we're here to, we'll take questions and stuff too. We're gonna get it all
Absolutely. Got a
figured out.
lot of fun stuff
So,
coming in the future. Just we got
so
to get
let
our
us know what
bearings
you'd
here.
like to see and what you'd like to change. Just subscribe, like, and we'll be back next week.
That's right. Tighten up, baby.
Tighten up.